Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be having another episode of Power Up, and as you can see, today we are going to be talking about forgiveness. Forgiveness is something we do have to face on a daily basis, but what am I specifically going to be talking about is holding a grudge. So in my experience with forgiveness, it's been easy to forgive people that have done something so small, and I'll be like, yeah, that's fine, yeah, it's okay, but then I'll be creating a bit of boundaries, a bit of wall, which was a bit unhealthy. So most of you that know me know that my parents separated when I was 11. And after that, I chose to live with my mom, and me and my dad had kind of good relationship. Why I say kind of good relationship was not because he did anything wrong or he said anything to me, but because obviously he was not present, and that really did a one to me, because I was like, okay, if you're not present, if you're not there, if you don't communicate to me every day, that means you love me less. And with the years, I just started being more distant towards my dad, not because I didn't love him anymore, not because I didn't care about him, but because I felt hurt. But I didn't want to admit that to myself. I didn't want to admit that I'm hurt and that I actually went through the divorce as well as them. It was not just affecting them too, but it affected me. So I was like, okay, everything is fine. I'm gonna pretend I am fine. I am fine. I am okay. Nothing bothers me, which was the biggest lie I could say, as you can gather. But then a bit after I got saved, a few months later, it was Father's Day, and I just started feeling that void inside of me, that missing piece. And I was like, okay, like, am I really struggling? I'm fine. I've not had dad for the past 10 years. Like, what's different now? It really doesn't matter. I'm fine. And then one of my friends sent me a thing, and some of you that know do know that my dad used to be a pastor before the divorce. So I saw that video where he spoke at the anniversary at the church that he used to be a pastor at, and he apologized to everyone for hurting them, just for like abandoning the church and like choosing himself over the church. And I just remember I shut down the laptop with such an anger, and I was like, why? Why did you apologize to the whole church but you never apologized to me? That's when I realized that I'm not okay. Like, I am hurt. I felt betrayed. Like, you really hurt me. And then I realized that I'm really looking for apology, and I'm really like looking for him to realize that he hurt me, because up until that point everything was fine for me. But when he admitted his mistake to the church, I was like, why did I never got that? Why is it that you care more about the people and everyone else outside our family, but you don't care about me? And I was so occupied with the whys in my head and with the betrayal I felt that I just started building up this wall, and I was like, I don't want to ever see that person again. I don't want to ever speak to that person ever again. And now it was no longer like I'm cool with you. It was like I will do anything in my power to just reject you and to push you away, because I don't want you in my life. If that's how you're gonna treat me, and if that's how you treat everyone else compared to me, I'm your daughter. Why are you not loving me? Why are you not giving me what I need? Like, what did I do wrong for you to treat me that way? And I was like, I don't want to see you. Obviously I didn't say that to him, but I was like, just that thing was building up in my heart, that like hatred, and that really killed me, because I was like building up on a grudge that it was only affecting me because my dad didn't know what's going on with me, and every time he would text me, I would reply. So for him, we had a good relationship, and in my heart I would be like, why are you texting me? Like, but then I'll reply on the message and I'll be like, yeah, I'm good, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I was so hypocritical and I was so two-faced, because I didn't have the courage to be like, you know what, you hurt me and this is how I feel. But then the month passed and the next month passed, and I really started thinking about forgiveness, because I heard a sermon that was talking about forgiveness and like love, and I was like, but how can I forgive you without you apologizing to me? So I was thinking, and one night I was just praying, and then I started crying, and I was like, God, it's so painful, like I'm really hurt, but now you're saying I have to forgive someone that doesn't seem sorry to me. Like, why is that a thing? And then the one thing that occurred to me was like, I've heard Jesus and I've heard God so many times, yet he still forgives me every day, and every single day he gives me a new slate so I can carry on. And I was like so stunned by it, because I was like, who am I to hold a grudge against my dad? There is a human and he messed up, and yes, people do mess up, but who am I now to make you feel a certain way and act towards you a certain way and have that feelings and that emotions against you, when I'm doing the exact same thing to God on a daily? I sin, which hurts God. On a daily, I do so much that God doesn't approve. And I was like, why is it that God forgives me and I cannot forgive? And then the prayer come to my head, and it was like, forgive others like I've forgiven you. And I was like, if God's forgiven me, who am I to hold a grudge against my dad? And who am I to just be the way I am? And I prayed that night, and I was like, God, please forgive me, because I really haven't been forgiven. And I was like, you know what? I forgive. I didn't have to have him to apologize to me. I just said, I'm fine with it. I've accepted it, and I forgive you, and I love you. And I was fine with it. Everything was going okay. And then on Christmas Eve, the same year, my dad texted me, and he was like, oh, happy Christmas Eve. Hope you're having a great time. And I was not going to reply, not because something, but because I was busy. But then I said to myself, hold on, Sabina, like, you have 2 seconds, just say thank you very much, same for you. And I replied, and then he texted me, and he was like, is there a chance that we could talk? And I was like, yeah, just not today. And he was like, that's fine. But then I felt bad, because I was like, I really just pied him off, and I feel bad. It's like Christmas time. Let's be nicer. And I texted him back, and I was like, I can talk tomorrow if you would like. And he was like, yeah, I would love that. And when the day came, I rang him, and you know, the usuals, like, hi, how are you? How was the Christmas? La la la. So we were talking, and then he started crying, and I was like, huh? Because for me, I don't get people when they cry without something happening. And I was like, are you okay? And he was like, I'm just so sorry. And I was like, what do you mean? What are you sorry for? And he was like, I'm so sorry for not being there for you. And it really touched me, because I was like, I've been waiting 10 years to hear that. And it was a big one for me, because I now was like, I've forgiven you. If you had asked me like a few months ago when I was dealing with it, I was ready with the guns. I was like, like, you really did that to me. What are you doing? But it was just a moment of, I was like, I see that you are also hurting. And we talked, we had a great discussion. And then he was trying to hang up on me, and he was like, I need to go. And I was like, why? And he was like, I just don't understand. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, I don't understand how you forgive me so easy. I don't understand, why would you forgive me? And I I was like, I don't have the right not to forgive you. Not because you didn't hurt me, but because we hurt God on daily. And if he was able to carry the cross knowing that I would sin against him, knowing that I will hurt him, and still carry on the whole cross and die for our sins, who am I to say I won't forgive you? And it was just this whole conversation turned into something that healed both of us, and it really healed me and it healed him as well, because he was able to finally admit what he had been going through, and I was able to see that it's not only my part of the story that is the whole story, and I was able to see that I'm not the only one that's hurt. And that whole conversation really brought us together, which brings me back to the point of like, if I hadn't dealt with that grudge that I held back then, I wouldn't have been able to have that conversation with my dad. I wouldn't have been able to be soft-minded and soft-hearted about it. And that's why forgiveness is so important, because forgiveness doesn't just help you, but it helps the other person. Sometimes it is true. Sometimes you feel a certain way towards someone and they will not care and it will not affect them. But in that case, it really didn't just heal me, it healed him as well. And one thing I would say is, you never know what someone else is going through, and by you holding the grudge, you might be creating a bridge and brick of walls between you that years later would affect you in a certain way, and it will cause you certain behavior that you will not understand until you deal with that person that you have to forgive. And for me, forgiving my dad and just mending our relationship and growing into loving and growing into care for each other didn't just affect me and him, but it affected everyone around me, because I used to have a certain reservation towards men. I used to push them away and always think like, I don't need you, I'll treat you this way because I know you're a man. And I used to link it to the sense of like, my dad did that, so what stops you from doing that to me? So what I am coming to say is that forgiveness is something you cannot live without. You might think that you're fine, you might think that you're okay, but until you truly forgive someone, you will not be able to experience real emotions. So as a Christian, obviously, my aim is to be more like Christ. And that's why forgiveness for me is a big thing, because Christ forgave me, so I need to forgive. And one verse that I always remind myself is Micah 7 verse 18 to 19, that says, "No other God is like you. You chose us to be your people, and you decide not to remember what we have done wrong. Not many of your people remain, and we have done bad things, but you chose to forget those bad things. You will not always be angry, because you want very much to be kind. You like to be kind because you love us. So again, you'll remove everything that we have done wrong. You'll crush those bad things. You'll throw all of them into the deep sea." So like I said, guys, forgiveness is not always easy, but it's something that is crucial to be done in our lives. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!